He took a bullet straight to the chest. The windshield shattered. The patrol car swerved. Blood soaked through his uniform, but somehow, he survived. Just months later, he was named Officer of the Year. And that was only the beginning. Because behind every high-speed chase is a story no one expected. December 16, 2021, U.S. Marshals requested urgent backup. They were chasing down two suspects, one of them already wanted for serious violent crimes. Officer Spencer Morris didn't hesitate. He jumped into the pursuit, but he had no idea what was coming. As the chase intensified, one of the suspects suddenly leaned out of the window and opened fire. The shot hit Morris square in the chest. His vest absorbed part of the impact, but it wasn't enough. The bullet tore through and knocked the wind out of him. Inside his patrol car, everything turned to chaos. The windshield cracked, the dashboard shook, and for a moment, everything went silent. Then came the return fire. Officers at the scene reacted instantly, unleashing a controlled barrage at the fleeing suspects. Seconds later, it was over. The vehicle came to a stop. Both suspects were dead, and Morris, against all odds, was still alive. He was rushed to the hospital with critical injuries. The bullet had missed his heart by less than an inch. It took weeks of recovery, but he pulled through, and just a few months later, he was honored with the department's highest recognition, Officer of the Year. It was the kind of ending you don't usually hear about, but not every pursuit ends with a medal. Some leave behind only wreckage and a body on the ground. January 20, 2020, Deputy Charles Irvin was on routine patrol when he spotted a Toyota Camry making an illegal turn. Nothing unusual, until the driver refused to stop. What started as a simple traffic stop turned into a full-blown chase. The Camry sped off, weaving through traffic, pushing faster and faster down rural roads. For miles, the pursuit continued, until the driver lost control. The car crashed into a patch of thick brush. Deputies rushed to the scene and found the passenger, a 52-year-old man, had been ejected through the window. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt and died on impact. The driver, 41-year-old Joseph Penn, had fled on foot. Officers fanned out across the area, searching through the bushes and wooded fields nearby. It didn't take long to find him. He was limping, injured from the crash, trying to crawl away. When they finally caught him, he came clean. He admitted he ran because he had outstanding warrants, theft charges, court evasion, and, as he put it, he was high on cocaine when the chase began. 3 years later, in 2023, Penn stood in court and pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter for the death of his passenger. That guilty plea came with up to 10 years behind bars. He was running from the law, and now, he'll be sitting behind bars for nearly a decade because of it. But not all drivers stop because they crash. Some keep pushing the gas pedal, even as the car starts to fall apart. May 19, 2021, deputies were patrolling along Highway 29 when a routine license plate check revealed something big. The Pontiac in front of them was reported stolen. They moved in to pull it over, but the driver had other plans. He floored it. What followed was pure chaos. The stolen Pontiac sped south, topping out at over 165 kilometers per hour, more than 100 miles per hour. Officers struggled to keep up, but inside the fleeing vehicle, things were falling apart fast. At one point, the passenger side door suddenly flew open. A woman leaned out, clearly panicked. No one knows if she was trying to jump or escape, but the driver didn't slow down. Seconds later, it was over. The Pontiac collided with another vehicle, hard. The impact crushed the front end of the car, launching both occupants forward. Neither the driver nor the passenger had been wearing a seatbelt. The man behind the wheel, Randy Cole, was pronounced dead at the scene. The woman, later identified as Elena Fillion, was found in critical condition and rushed to the hospital. Somehow, she survived. The driver of the other vehicle, a trucker, suffered only minor injuries. But that night, 3 lives were changed forever. One gone, one barely hanging on, one just doing his job and caught in the middle of someone else's recklessness. When you run from the police at full speed, there are only a few ways it can end, and none of them are good. But just when you think you've seen the worst, one chase in Arkansas would ignite something even darker. July 28, 2023, Marion, Arkansas. A patrol officer spotted a suspicious-looking Crown Victoria pulling out of a gas station. The car didn't have plates, the driver looked nervous, and when the officer flipped on his lights, the vehicle bolted. The driver was 32-year-old DeMarcus Clark, and he wasn't just trying to avoid a ticket, he was running for his life. Clark pushed the car past 160 kilometers per hour, flying down the highway with zero regard for traffic. But what he didn't know was that backup had already been called in. State troopers were moving in fast. 6 miles from the state line, one officer decided it had to end now. A pit maneuver was initiated, the classic technique to spin a fleeing vehicle off the road. It worked. Clark's car spun out and slammed into a ditch. But then something went wrong. Smoke started pouring from under the hood. The trooper closest to the crash, Sergeant Stephen Roberts, was racing up when it happened. With barely a second to react, his patrol SUV collided directly with the suspect's vehicle, now filling with smoke and leaking fuel. Within moments, the car caught fire. Officers tried desperately to pull Clark from the wreckage, but the doors were crushed. The flames spread too fast. Clark was still inside when the fire overtook the vehicle. He died trapped in the front seat. Later, an internal investigation concluded that no officers would face charges. The pit maneuver was within department guidelines. The collision was ruled unavoidable, but even with no one held responsible, that didn't make the outcome any less tragic. One man dead, one officer still haunted by what he saw, and just months later, Arkansas would face another case, one far more controversial, because in that one, the evidence didn't seem to match the story.